Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Windbreaker podcast. Last one of the year, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, crazy. I'm Yahtzee Crowshaw. I'm joined by Marty Slaver
Welcome.
and the ginger deadpan man, Sebastian Ruiz.
That's good. That caught me off
That
guard.
is
I love
really
that.
good.
Welcome everyone.
Have you ever seen the ginger dead man?
No, is that a
No.
horror? Is that a spooky film? A spook 'em up?
Yeah, it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek, low-budget horror movie with who's the famous actor they got for that? Who's the one with big teeth?
Gary Busey?
That's the one.
Wow.
He's the one with big teeth.
Yeah, well, he's got the
He is,
mightiest
yeah.
teeth. Well, there's another
Clydesdale.
one, but I don't know him, yeah.
See, I was trying to think like, the dude whose son was in Starship Troopers
I
and
don't
also
know.
had big teeth.
Yeah, Jake Busey, also big teeth.
Yeah. Okay, well, we've got a handy-dandy list of things to plug before we start.
Oh my gosh.
And if I were a professional, I'd have already brought it up, but that's on me. Has either of you guys got it up?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, as you know, at Second Wind, we are primarily funded by incredible viewers like yourself. So we appreciate everyone who's already subscribed to the Patreon, and if you haven't, give it a look. Every little bit helps. If you toss $5 a month, you get access to multiple Darren columns every week. And let me tell you, Darren Mooney, just a wild man, a genuine wild man. Incredible takes on Wonka. He's got Godzilla -1. He's going to have all sorts of Oscar talks. He's talking about A24. He's going to have new Studio Ghibli thoughts. And then, of course, thank you so much for your super chats, your donos. And if you are going to donate anything, maybe higher than your standard $50 or anything, consider doing it through PayPal, if only because PayPal takes a far less of a cut. I think zero of a cut compared to Google, which takes a little bit of a cut because Johnny Google's got to eat. And then, of course, we have our merch store going right now. So if you maybe in time for the holiday want to sneak in a little shirt, little mug, merch. Oh my God, incredible!
Oh man, why is no one as prepared as Frost for these
Frost is
things?
very prepared. Frost is shockingly prepared, and he cut the full screen. Incredible. And then, of course, we currently have our funding goal. It's not up right now because we're still trying to figure out how the funding goal works between the two channels. But we are currently funding for Adventures Nigh Season 4 on location, filming in the spring. We have the full rights to Adventures Nigh back. It is very exciting. Season 4, and we're already like over a tenth to our goal, and our goal's only been up for like a handful of days. So thank you guys so much. All donos are going towards that.
Yes. If you didn't catch it on Saturday, we've started re-releasing season 3. That'll be going out every Saturday until that season is over. But that's enough plugging. Let's discuss the topic for this week, because with the new year arising, we thought we could go into it with an air of positivity and talk about what gaming's gonna do to fix itself.
Is that positive? That I'll do it.
It's as positive as I get.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, let's not dwell on the grim past. Let's talk about the hopes that we have for the future.
Yeah, I feel like 2023, I think a lot of people think was a very good year for games, a pretty crummy year for the people who make games. But moving into 2024, let's try to see what can this industry do to sort of right the ship. What sort of positive lessons can we take? Double down on the good things, avoid the bad things. What can we do going into next year?
Well, for my part, I think what the industry needs to do is more of what it's currently doing. I think we're on a positive projected path in a lot of ways.
Largely, more people.
Well, besides all that, but largely because of... Am I blowing the mic out of it? I can never tell how close to put the mic to my mouth, because if I don't put it really close, people complain that I'm too quiet.
I go tongue length. I try to lick my mic at the beginning of every podcast.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I've been feeling positive about is the general rejection of the live service model. And there's a reason why Suicide Squad is on the thumbnail this week. Because the most positive memory I have from the whole year is the reaction to the Suicide Squad gameplay reveal, where everyone was like, nobody was like, hey, that could be good. Everyone was like, what the fuck was that? Rocksteady.
To be fair, this is like superheroes with superpowers, and they're using guns of all things.
Well, it's the Suicide Squad, you know. They're not
Sure.
traditional superheroes.
And they're out here to kill the Justice League, as the subtitle has informed us.
Yes.
But yeah, Rocksteady is the latest developer who was at one time lauded for their wonderful single player games in the Arkham trilogy, who then seemingly had their hand moved by the powers that be on the publisher side to create a live service game, even though that was not their bread and butter. And it seems like this was one of those decisions that was put in many years ago, half a decade ago, when it seemed like every game going forward was going to be live service. And obviously in that time, that trend has kind of trickled down to we're seeing more and more games come out. It was such a bummer this year to see this happen. You know, a few years ago we had Anthem. We had BioWare having to come out and sort of change their game plan. Anthem, a dud. A few years after that, Crystal Dynamics and the Avengers game came out, a dud. Earlier this year, though not live service, Arcane Austin having to get outside kind of their what they were known for to create Redfall, a dud. And then we just had the news this week that Naughty Dog has canceled their Last of Us multiplayer live service game and wanting to focus more on single player games. So it feels like we're in a good trajectory, and Suicide Squad might be like the last victim of this. Hopefully.
We're on the positive part of the sine wave that we've gone through so many times before. The publishers find the new money spinner, try to push the multiplayer experience, the live service experience, and then realize that there's only a few of those that can really dominate the market. Everything else crashes and burns, and we return to the focus on solid single player focused games, much as we did around the time BioShock came out.
You think we go back to this solid single player? Because I believe we're past the point of no return. I said, I think at the start of the year last year, that games as a service were becoming like the food industry, and you're always going to have your like top 5. McDonald's is never going away, but they're all about that content. Minecraft, I'm just saying, commit to live service. Minecraft, you can play any version of the game ever that's ever been around. And you can see the patches, you can see the updates that are coming through. If you don't like it, you don't have to commit to it, but it is making more content. I'm sick of multiplayer games as a service, where it's constantly getting different patches, different contents. If you want to just sell cosmetics, have at it. But I wish they'd put more thought than just like, well, we don't know when we're going down. We're just going to keep going until we collapse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not really a positive spin. For one thing, you lose the satisfaction one gets from a really good ending, which is something that's going to be coming up in my semi-emblematic this week.
Ooh. Fitting for the last one of the year.
Yeah. Because, live service is incompatible with storytelling. Storytelling is beginning, middle, end. And when there ain't no end, there ain't no story. That's why I've never liked superhero comics.
Because they can't die.
Because they never fucking die.
Love it. Love it.
So, and all the the layoffs in the big money industry, obviously that's terrible for people being laid off. But, there's also a positivity to be seen in the crashing and burning of the industry as it currently exists.
Yeah, that's hard one to swallow, isn't it?
I mean, I saw this pattern in microcosmic style back when I lived in Brisbane, because there was a time when Brisbane was full of big studios, THQ, Chrome, Pandemic, and basically all of them went belly up one after another for various reasons. And what resulted is that there's now 10 million indie developers in Brisbane, like Defiant, who made God, I feel so bad. I've forgotten what it's called. The card game procedural thing.
Hand of Fire?
Thank you, Brain.
Oh.
Defiant, they made Hand of Fate. Half Brick, who made Fruit Ninja, one of the biggest mobile games ever in history.
Yeah, Australia's popping.
Yeah, so the big studios break up, and the end result is a million indie devs making interesting shit. So you know what? All those layoffs, to my mind, is just part of the pattern, part of the positive pattern.
You get your
something we've seen before. There's always we always look back at the Looking Glass family tree, how Looking at Glass had all of these developers like during the System Shock era and everything that eventually went off to form AAA studios, indie studios. That's how we got the BioShock games, and then a bunch of indie games like Gone Home and Firewatch and things like that. So it feels like even some of the Arcane games. So it feels like your hope from this is that the seeds kind of are able to get caught in the wind and spread and then grow somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, when like a big studio goes down, everyone talks about it like someone's died. But no, all the things that matter, the people, they're all still alive, and they're all going to be looking for shit to do with their lives.
Yeah. That being said, that was another one I had jotted down was I want to start seeing accountability from the actual people who are making these terrible decisions, because it never seems like it is the C-suite people who have to reap what they've sown. It's the actual creatives. You see Embracer constant, like this year has been just like inundated with Embracer after their massive fucking catamarying of so many studios and then completely dropping the ball and being able to get Saudi blood money, them ending up being like, oh, well, we have to cancel all these games and lay off all these people and shutter all these studios. Some of which, before they even had a chance, they were like, we're reforming Free Radical to make Time Splitters in the entire studio. They're like, no, we actually don't, because we don't have any money, because we had no business plan. However, the CEOs, just fine. Don't worry. They'll be just fine.
Well, they can't go far without any talent, can they?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what we learned when we split from our corporate owners this year.
Yeah.
And I like to think we've demonstrated the ongoing pattern as the corporate industry continues its merry march to collapse.
Yeah, well,
everything's just going to revert to independently funded little life rafts floating on the big churning sea of bullshit. That's what's going to happen.
Hopefully, yeah. I think we get a better class of like CEO and better C-suite, because someone's got to do it. Even here, right? Like some of us have had to step up and do the paperwork and that gross stuff. Not
Oh god, it's so boring.
like it's horrendous stuff, but someone's got to do it. But like these indie developers are the ones that are going to be able to step into it, right? So good times all around.
It turns out it's not actually that hard to be a CEO work-wise.
We should use AI. There we go. Make them redundant in the whole C-suite.
AIs. I feel like AI CEOs. There's like several Philip K. Dick stories that are about that.
I feel like just like tweak it a little bit. More pizza parties.
I was thinking the merge with the AI ending from Deus Ex.
There you go. Finally, art replicates life. Or
there is a philosophical argument in favor of humanity turning over all governance to AIs.
I forgot which one it was.
AIs have no personal stake and are incorruptible, theoretically.
Well, I've corrupted a hard drive or two. Like that's an absolute lie.
Well, not
there.
in that sense.
Oh, like moral. I see what you mean.
Yes.
I forgot who it were that said if AI was actually like built proper, so to speak, it would side with the workers. So we would just make Tron, I guess. So I fight for the users. I think that's the line in the movie there.
There you go.
So like, yeah, that's also the other thing where it's sort of like silver lining, very bittersweet. Epic Games, massive layoffs, but those layoffs were predominantly in the expansion department. So you want these companies to stop chasing infinite growth. Well, they're gonna have to fire the part that is assigned to chase infinite growth. That's the only like silver lining there, I suppose. But
yeah,
still, never a good thing.
That's entirely the upper corporate layer.
And that's the people who made the decision to chase the infinite growth aren't the ones who need to, are the ones who are affected by it, which is a problem.
So just strip off that layer, and the actual talent are all like, "Hey, what did we need that layer for? It's not even that cold."
Yeah. Oh, it was like a coat.
That's like a windbreaker.
Like a windbreaker.
Hey,
beautiful.
But I'd say throw it away with the Suicide Squad games as a service. It's even slipped into single player. I hate these incremental loot. Not 5% more damage, like 3% more loot. Absolute garbage. Like 100% more damage is not as exciting as now. It's like double how many bullets come out of your gun, and you just hear it and you can see it just going.
Or you can visualize you are doing different things as opposed to. I always hated that, and as much as I liked the modern God of War games, the getting something and it being like, oh, a 3% chance of causing burn damage. I'm like, doesn't mean anything to me. Like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, No, not a fan of that. Even single player needs to get away from those.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So gear scores in the bin, please.
Yep.
Let's see here. I had.
Yes.
I don't think everyone should do it, but I did like Hi-Fi Rush's Ghost Drop, where it was just boom. There you go. So like closer to release is when I would like the hype, please.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I think that works when you have a product you know is really good and has strong broad appeal. It's definitely not the road you want to take if you're aiming for niche appeal.
Sure. And it worked specifically in that case because it was a combination of Tango, which has like a pedigree behind it, and
It's
also
Shinji
Game Pass.
Mikami's company.
Yeah.
That's
But
quite
also
a pedigree right there.
it being on Game Pass means that folks can, if the tens of millions of subscribers can just download it and try it, and there's no like barrier to entry, and there's no worry about spending your money on it. And it was funny that we got that and Metroid Prime Remaster Shadow dropped in those in like the same week or so, and those were very different examples. Metroid Prime works because it is a known quantity and it is a beloved game. But yeah, I'd be, at the very least, Frost, I'd love to see shorter tales, because there are so many trailers we saw during the Game Awards, or that we saw during the Game Awards several years ago, for games that won't be coming out until probably the tail end of the decade. That Star Wars Eclipse, in 2018 we saw Elder Scrolls 6.
This isn't strictly a hype problem. It's a game's taking way too bloody long to make problem.
It is, yeah. And it's also studios needing to use them as hiring tools, because if they're so secretive they can't say they're working on a Star Wars thing, it's going to be hard to hire people. Whereas if you say we're working on a Star Wars story game, it's probably easier to get people to apply who might be good at a thing like that. But I completely agree with you, Yahtzee. The time it takes to make these games is too damn long.
Yeah, and I don't think that's sustainable either. I mean, as we keep saying, all the indie games hardly need all that ultra realistic graphics, and they're just a train of success stories. Most recently, something like Lethal Company, which was less than a gig download and looks kind of primitive, but is just massively popular.
Yeah, I love it. I love when these like nasty little ugly troll games become super popular, and everyone's like, "All I want are good graphics and great story." It's like, nah, they just throw it all together on a weekend. Look at that thing. The pumpkins are still there.
One of the things I had on my list was the broadly positive trend reflected by Dave the Diver, which a lot of people were talking down because it's indie, but not because it's supported by a massive corporation. But, what do you want of massive corporations? That's what I want of massive corporations. I want them to split the money up into a bunch of excited, driven indie teams. Well, not indie. And, spread the financial joy, like to make low budget, non-realistic graphic games that are just fun, and the actual like passionate creatives can put their work into. I mean, and all that, arguing over whether it counted as indie or not over the Game Awards, that's on the Game Awards.
Yeah. But no, how great, we were sort of singing this song like a decade ago when Ubisoft showed off like Child of Light and Valiant Hearts. And it was like, oh, this is pretty cool. A AAA studio is allowing smaller teams to make things where you can see the thumbprints of the developers more clearly. And then that kind of went away. But how great would it be to have, Sony, all their first party studios, while they're working on new Spider-Man and Last of Us and Tsushima, have small teams at those studios working on smaller few hour games.
Yeah, I remember when I think it was Insomniac Games brought out Song of the Deep.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Oh, making me sad thinking of EA Sports. Ooh, brother.
Yeah, EA big.
The really sad thing is that this used to be like just the standard practice. You have your big tentpole game, and then that would like fund everything, so you could spread the money around all the other projects you actually wanted to make.
Yeah,
that was just how it was done. And now these days they just pile all the money into the tentpoles, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's like the same in Hollywood. There's always that idea of like the one for them, one for me kind of thing, but it just doesn't seem like that actually happens in the games industry. It feels like it's one for them, and then that one makes a lot of money, and now we're doing those forever.
And if it doesn't, we shutter the studio, and if it does, we shutter the studio anyway.
God.
True. You know what the small teams in Ubisoft are doing now? They're making Assassin's Creed Mirage. That's what's classified as a smaller game for Ubisoft these days.
Yeah. which is kind of wild. Although we
Is
do,
it as
we're
big
getting
as the
that
first
2D.
one?
Yeah, right. Mirage is, I think, as big. I'm sure it was more expensive than the first game. Granted, it was
Jeez, man.
15 years later, but I
Yeah,
like that we have that Prince of Persia game coming out, which is again more indie spirited. I don't know how another way to put it, because it's 2D and it feels like a little Metroidvania. It's made by the Rayman team, like the Rayman Origins and the Rayman Legends team at Ubisoft Montpellier, which is cool. So I just want to see more of that.
Yeah, the third item on my list, I just wrote down Assassin's Creed, just stop. Generally, just stop.
Does that apply to a lot of franchises or just Assassin's Creed?
I think he's tired of
think-
reviewing them.
Most especially Assassin's Creed.
At what point did you realize, you didn't have to keep doing COD? And at what point would that hit for Assassin's Creed?
I don't know. I think it was after like I did Modern Warfare 1, sort of. Well, I played it.
First
and then
one or the
when-
second one?
The second Modern Warfare 1,
Okay.
which which is getting to the problem. But when the second Modern Warfare 2 came out, I was like, I don't think I will. I just won't. So I didn't, and I haven't since.
How did you
It
feel in the
helped.
moment? It's like, oh.
It helped with Call of Duty that they were putting less and less effort towards the campaigns, and so
Yeah.
that felt like an easier breakup, I think, on your end. Whereas Assassin's Creed is still just like, predominantly these single player experiences.
Yeah.
But I agree, it's hard to, I don't know, even like when the franchise has had like a shakeup, it hasn't felt like it's shaken up enough, or maybe it's been shaken up in a direction like the RPGification of Origins and Valhalla.
Well, this is why I'm saying Assassin's Creed needs to stop, because I think what we've learned is that there's no shaking up that can help things at this point.
Well, people like the new ones. That's why I wait like 5 years in between a franchise. And then it feels new enough. If you have to do one by one, it's just a boiling frog effect. And you're the frog.
I don't think there's anywhere that particular IP can go that would feel like something new and innovative.
Japan.
I think they've tried everything, and it's just been milked to a little dry husk.
Yeah, aside from putting me in the Animus itself, I think that's it. We've run out of room.
You want like an
sure there's
like a
someone
tanning
trying
bed at home, kind of?
Yeah,
Well,
could you
like-
imagine?
Well, early on, there was like a coherent theme to the plot. It was like Assassins versus Templars, exploring the philosophy of the Assassins and the counter philosophy of the Templars, who both broadly agree on some areas but disagree on like the crucial area of free will or whatever. But in like the last 9 Assassin's Creed games, that has just been goodies versus baddies. Assassins are the goodies, Templars are the baddies.
Well, then they swap them, like in Rogue.
Yeah. And even in historical settings that predate the Hashashin Order, it's just the goodies versus the baddies, and the goodies are the assassins, but in all but name, the hidden ones.
Yeah, different name, but the same coat of paint. Yeah,
And we
And
never
goodies
get to
versus
like the
baddies-
first ones, do we? It's
And
just
goodies
always.
versus baddies is just a universal theme. If, like I keep saying, if you'd said Go to Tsushima was an Assassin's Creed game, I wouldn't have doubted you. Because you say, oh, the Japanese, the samurai are the assassins, and the Mongols are the Templars. Somehow, that's how it worked out in that particular theater of history.
and good luck. And next fall or the fall after, we're gonna have AC Red, which is just doing that. So
Oh, for Christ's sake!
Lovely.
Yeah.
So it wants his ending. So.
yeah, I mean, I think are there any long running franchises that you think do it right? Or do you think this is a problem with all franchises across the board? Or do you think there's anything that like gives enough time in between installments that they actually put creativity in it? And this is my way of segueing into talking about Nintendo. God knows I want to talk about Nintendo.
Funny enough, yeah, them. I feel like if you have a strict enough Bible and strict enough people that are working on it, yeah.
I think maybe Metal Gear was the franchise that sort of evolved over time, but I think that's kind of done now.
We're getting the remake of 3. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, for Christ! Yeah, I mean, Kojima's like very firmly moved on to Death Stranding now. It seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was it From Software? If they're only the Miyazaki games, I think they evolved pretty nicely on each other.
Yeah. Not just the Miyazaki games. Like Armored Core had I guess it's weird because From Software is one of the few developers people consider all of their games like the same. Like, oh, it's them, whereas they have clearly like lines of delineation with Sekiro and Armored Core.
Yeah, as that goes. No, I think eventually you just ship a Theseus yourself to the point where it's not even a ship anymore. This is like a nice Corvette Cadillac, but it doesn't sail right. Why are we still in the water? You
Yeah.
know? So,
yeah, Assassin's Creed's about as cheap as Theseus as anything can get. Probably was around the time of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, since we're talking about it.
There you go.
Pretty sure like before Patrice Desolé got kicked out or something like that.
I
But
saw
I do want that.
I saw a funny tweet the other day. It said something like the Wikipedia page for Ship of Theseus was started in 2006, and as of today, no part of it is the original text.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget the novelty account, but they just do a bunch of like Wikipedia gone wild tweets. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marty, what else you got on your list?
Yeah, well, like sort of leaning towards Nintendo. I'm looking forward to this new fucking Switch just being out so that we don't have to talk about hardware anymore, because I think talking about hardware is pretty boring, personally. I think hardware is the least interesting aspect of talking about and criticizing games. And
yeah,
I
I guess I'm just
having-
waiting for games to move to the point that movies were at, where it's just all DVD players are basically the same. Let's just get
Yeah.
one, and then we can play DVDs.
I feel we're
and it's
getting there.
and that like the tribalism that comes from it, and like the fact that people get mad at a thing because it has a first party behind, like it's all, I get that not everyone is in a position of privilege to be able to own all these things, so that where it comes
Yeah.
out doesn't matter. But like I think what store a thing releases on, what console the thing releases on, that kind of thing is just so damn boring. Like whether
For a
it's on,
while-
I'm not gonna play it because it's on Epic and it's not on Steam. Like I think that is like such a
Yeah.
boring way to talk about art.
For a
that I
while, there
just-
was an interesting argument over what's the best controller layout, but the controller hasn't really been improved since the DualShock 2.
Do we think we're
basically
done?
every
Are we done with
controller-
that? Are we done with like major? Like, is there going to
Yeah,
be like
yeah,
a
I mean,
major
you
step forward?
I mean, you don't see any of them wacky controllers like what the Atari Jaguar had with the little pocket calculator attached to a Mega Drive controller. No, it's all 2 analog sticks, 2 sets of shoulder buttons, 4 face buttons, and a
Hold on.
D-pad. That's every
Hold on.
controller now.
Did you guys see this Splatoon setup that Nintendo had recommended? I
Oh.
put it in the
Oh, the
Discord.
one where you tie the Wiimote
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
top.
absolutely.
Like it's like a
Oh,
fucking
I
prison.
love Nintendo because they don't give up. They're like, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
An archaeologist is gonna find these and be like, we came from 5 armed humans.
What did man look like back then? Yeah.
Man had feathers.
Yeah. Yeah, and like folks have tried, like Valve with the Steam controller, with sort of the how to turn mouse inputs into a single thumb thing, and that never really clicked on. We had the movement based push of like the late aughts between the Wii and Kinect and PlayStation Move, and that didn't really connect or like catch on. So I don't know. Yeah, it feels like controller inputs, unless I think there's always going to be these niche movements and people wanting something, but I have a hard time imagining in the next 10, 15 years some radical new way of control that is going to. But maybe that's the point of it, is like if we could think of it, we'd be millionaires, so we can't think of it.
Well, there you go.
I love it when they first were like, oh, I forgot what game it was. It uses the disgusting WASD movement scheme. I forget which game it was, but yeah, they were just like, oh, horrible, horrible thing. And yeah, those older games were like, what, ZXC Spacebar? Ew.
Remember when they first put the extra touchpad thing in the middle of the PS4 controller? And that really felt like we're really desperately trying to find ways to improve upon the DualShock 2. And this is the best we've got. And I was like, it's not really efficient for using with your hands, but it's perfectly positioned for if you want to make a game you can control with your nose.
I was thinking, yeah, like if you put it on your chin and talk like through it, voice activated kind of thing.
Or
I
lick
think
it.
could work. Yeah.
Lick it if you want to have
microphones,
like
your controllers.
a taste-based game.
Yeah.
There you go.
Whoa.
I was hoping after Astro's Playroom launched with the PS5 that more games were really going to go in depth with kind of the haptic feedback and like genuinely interesting uses of rumble on the new controller, and I feel like that's very few and far between now.
I don't
Does it
know.
use rumble adjustment?
I don't think those theme park rides where they shake your chair around while you watch a video were a significant step in the development of movies as an art form.
I saw Top Gun Maverick in 4DX, and let me tell you, I almost fucking fell out of my chair. They shook me around so hard; it was great.
The problem with haptic feedback and rumble is that games are all about immersion, and immersion happens when you stop thinking about what you're doing. Your hands are just an extension of your instant conscious reactions. And when you add stuff like rumble and like motion control to that, then suddenly you're right back in the room again, shaking your bloody Wiimote like a complete spaz, feeling like an idiot.
I
Are you not
disagree with
looking
that.
forward to that haptic bodysuit so you can feel it when you get shot?
The res bodysuit, that's all I want. The Vibrotron.
It never crossed my mind playing Half-Life that this would be so much better if it was knocking my drink out of my hand every time I got shot.
That'd be great.
Yeah, but like, I mean, so Rumble came. The first Rumble game I remember, I think it might have been the first, was the Rumble Pack with Star Fox 64, and it was a huge novelty. But then Rumble just became a thing in games, and it became a way of conveying information to you that you don't really think about. Again, like the sound design thing, where it's like if sound design is done well, you're not thinking about it. And so I don't find like good uses of Rumble to be distracting. I found it even more immersive, I would say.
Yeah. You're very kind, you. I'm mean-spirited to mine. Like if I'm playing a game and my controller goes off, I'm like, who let you speak? Where do I turn off the rumble? So
speak?
Yeah, like I think I liked it as a kid, though. I don't know what happens.
I have that problem with the speaker. I mean, just like, your controller rumbling when you fire a gun, I guess I don't really notice anymore. That's just pretty much standard these days. But the controller speaker in like PS5 games, I really don't like that at all. I'll turn that.
It's also, I mean, that's always weird if you have headphones. If you're listening on headphones and then the controller's trying to talk, you go, "What? What'd you say?"
Yeah.
Say that to me again.
No, I think we've gone as far as we can with like controllers and maybe even hardware, which makes me excited because I think, okay, this is what we're going to be on for like the next 10 years. Let's start making games like within that time window instead of anticipating the next one. Outside of that one guy who he made his own haptic feedback system and he likes to snipe in shooter games where it kicks right in the bloody shoulder the whole time, just will knock him just to feel it. I'm like, okay, so that's a little too much.
There was a story I read years ago that some kid was taken to hospital with a disease that had previously only been seen in workmen who used like power drills all day, because he'd been using like rumble controllers for like 12 hours a day.
Jesus.
And
what do you have?
Sort of separated all his nerves or something.
Oh, you're like tenderizing your hands.
Yeah, it was something gross.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh my God. Oh. I guess on the segue of the Nintendo thing, I liked that Tears of the Kingdom returned to its old setting. Like it was still there. I haven't played games that are sort of like, hey, we're back in a very, very long time. And I'd like to see more of that, if nothing else.
I think it's a smart way to, I mean, granted, Tears of the Kingdom took a long time in development, but it is a smart way to kind of be economical with what you've already created while framing different mechanics and different things to do around that. And we saw it twice this year, I think, at least that I can remember, with New York in Spider-Man 2 and Hyrule in Tears of the Kingdom. I thought it worked better for Tears of the Kingdom because your tool set made existing in that world feel so different than it did in Breath of the Wild, whereas Spider-Man was just the swinging and the sort of the flying stuff, gliding felt great, but it didn't feel like remarkably different from the first one. But no, I'm fine with that. Like I don't know, like the same way Hollywood would reuse sets. Like if you already built it once.
People are not happy with that. I understand, I guess, in Tears of the Kingdom, but for New York, I'm like, what, you want another borough or something?
Yeah, what do we do? Like, we can create sky islands above New York if you want. Yeah.
Well, we could add another suburb, extend out a little more.
Yeah.
Hey,
add New Jersey.
They gave us Queens and Brooklyn. What else can we ask for?
No, just expanding and going back to it.
Yeah.
As far as like, I think the last of my list was more like ethnic, more cultural games. Venba, hot stuff. My most anticipated game for next year is this super Mexican Metroidvania that's not Guacamelee. Like, give me more of that.
Yeah, that was really pushing the Mexican thing.
Yeah.
That talk about Constable Blimey chips.
Oh, but that's like Nacho Libre. We love that shit. Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Like, did you know they took that away because they figured it was too racist? But Mexico was like, give him back. We want more of him. Yeah,
he's ours.
That tends to happen. There's like a stock Brazilian Disney character who was like one of Donald Duck's friends, and he's like massively popular in Brazil.
Yeah, I don't know. We love that stuff.
The green parrot lad, one of the three Caballeros.
Oh, I loved him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that sort of ties into my second to last one, which was everyone from developers to publishers to us as players, sort of embracing curiosity and getting outside your comfort zone, which again ties into what we were talking about earlier of like wanting to see these AAA studios take risks and make smaller, kind of stranger things that might not be as mass market as a Spider-Man, but might really mean something to a smaller group of people. And then,
because remember, meaningful change in the industry like this can only come from a shift in the audience perspective as well.
Yeah,
the audience have to vote with their wallets. They have to say more. What the fuck is this? When Suicide Squad trailers come out, they have to like check out the interesting, innovative indie stuff. It's on you, audience. You get the industry you deserve.
Yeah,
and the Game Awards you deserve.
And the Game Awards you deserve.
Well, part of it's on us to really platform that stuff, which I think the three of us do pretty well. Of when we, with whether it's your Dredge or your Pizza Tower, your Shadow of Doubt, your Highland Song, your Neon White, like really going to bat for these smaller games.
We try our best.
Yeah, and I think it's easier now than ever. Like there's a democratization to these games that if you have Game Pass, a bunch of these games come there. PlayStation Plus, Steam has crazy cheap sales all the time. Next Fest is an awesome way to check out a bunch of demos and like kind of get a little early on what the next big thing is going to be. And I'm not saying you always need to. Everyone has their comfort games that they're going to return to, but at the same time, it's good to sometimes broaden your horizons, and that goes for anything: movies, TV, fucking food. Just become a little comfortable with being uncomfortable, and you might find something that you didn't realize you love.
Word, like Dredge was easy to go to bat for. Rusted Moss a little harder, and then the hardest one was The Void Rains Upon Our Eyes, even with the 100%.
The one you wrote about with Vemba, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, it's a funky looking one, but sure, sure. I feel like I'm becoming a games journal father, where before I didn't feel any responsibility. I'm just like, I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk. But now it's like, I feel like I almost owe it to someone to talk about this game.
Sure. Yeah, welcome to my world, bitch, as Freddy Krueger once said.
Good movie.
Freddy Krueger.
Having a big audience comes with it responsibility, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
No, Uncle
Absolutely.
Ben. No.
Heavy lies the head that wears the crown.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then my my last one was everyone needs to start giving more of a shit about preservation in game history. We see that with digital stores closing down and Nintendo being like, well, there's just no way to ever play 3DS or Wii U games. Bye everyone. We see that with servers being closed for multiplayer games that like I personally don't care about, but I think just losing these games fucking sucks.
He who forgets the past.
Yeah, exactly.
Gets a C in history class.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have people sort of, carrying the torch, not only, the piracy, which ends up becoming like the only way to get things done at certain times, but stuff like the Video Game Historical Foundation, stuff like the Digital Eclipse games in limited run, like the making of Karateka, which is a real cool glimpse into video game history, and then bringing back weird old franchises like Tomba and Gex, like
Tomba.
treating these old games with respect and not just like slopping them on shitty collections, but like just making them easily available to everyone.
Well,
because
that's something we can contribute to as well by just making lots of retro reviews and keeping these titles in the collective mindset.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Tulip long play. We're gonna play all of Tulip in 2024.
What the hell?
My lips can't take that much kissing.
It's a kissing game.
I remember that. Yeah, that video. Yeah, wow.
Beautiful. So much kissing. Oh my god, dog him.
I know he just popped up on his own free will.
He's a star.
Because he woke up and realized, hey, I'm not being shown to the internet.
I'm ready for my close up, Mr. DeVille.
You summoned your spirit ash. Did you guys have any other ones?
No, we pretty much went through all of mine, and I see super chats off the starboard bow.
Yeah, like
Oh,
a bunch of smaller things. They'll probably bring them up themselves, honestly. And as a reminder to everybody, this is the last Windbreakers podcast until the new year. So if anybody wants to tell us how cute we are, that they have a crush on us with money, feel free to do that right now.
Yes, because
nice.
this is the part where we read out all your super chats. We
Yeah.
are
So
obliged
our next
to.
episodes won't be till the 8th because
Yes,
next
we're all
week is Christmas,
taking.
following is New Year's.
Yes, we're all taking a week off to,
Yeah.
be human beings and interact with our families and shit. All that tiresome drivel.
I just keep looking at
But
the chat.
before then, we've got all these super chats to read out. I've only got the super chats themselves, not the live member chats. So, Marty, remember to
Yeah.
interrupt
The
me
first
if
one
I miss
was
any of those.
Loki. Welcome to the Green Gang, and then we kicked off with Jacob Kitty, which I think
Yes,
should be at the top
Jacob
of your list.
Kitty with $5, who says, Marty, your review of a Highland song was beautiful. Thank you for putting eyes on such a wonderful indie game. For me, it's this year's Spiritfarer.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, going back to the previous thing of trying to shine a spotlight on games folks might not know about, especially if they come out really late in the year. Weirdly enough, yeah, I did. We have a new series called Bite Sized, which is sort of the evolution of if you remember 3MRs. But yeah, I did one on Highland Song that I was really proud of, and we have a bunch of them in the works now. Some of them should be up before the holidays. Some of them might be up during the holiday break. That's not just a series I'm doing. That's a lot of people are going to be contributing to them. But yeah, a little kind of meatier looks and more essay tinged looks at games. So yeah, check out the
There you
Highland
go.
Song one.
I kind of bounced off Highland Song.
That's fine. It's not for everyone. It's a little. It's kind of. It's definitely in the Marty zone, which
He's-
a lot of
he's-
times Marty zone's
It might have
typically the
been
Yahtzee zone.
it might have been bad luck because it wasn't really clicking for me, and then I had ran into a bug that sort of soft locked my run. Didn't
Yeah.
really feel like trying again.
Is it because you've been closer to Scotland? You know what the chibbing is like. Yeah.
Yeah, I've brought this up before. Scotland has less of a sort of glamorous world of fantasy air in my mind.
Yeah,
All
I don't
sort
know.
of chip shops and
Have you seen
shouty
Train
people.
Spotters?
Train
Marty?
spotting. I
Train
love train spotting.
Train
Yeah.
spotting, heroin and chip shops. There you go.
I don't to bang the drum I said last week. I like my games with a sense of place, and it doesn't matter what that place is. Like if that would have been like take place in Appalachia or something, but really made me feel like I was there, I would have been just as impressed.
You and your sense of place.
I love it.
See, that makes sense, yeah, because I grew up in Appalachia, and when Assassin's Creed did it, I was very like, no, never,
No.
going back.
Cars of Fort Langley gives 10 Canadian and says, my first super chat, my first time catching this live. Just wanted to say thanks for the literal years of enjoyment and congrats on the second wind. Happy holidays to the team.
Thank you, Cars of Fort Langley.
I've only been here for like 3 weeks now.
Years. And then Gardo, welcome to the Green Gang. Thank you so much, Gardo.
Karuta Cowboy gives 35 Zars and says, random question, but Yahtzee, what's your opinion of Brandon Sanderson's books if you read any? I don't think I've read any. What's he written?
He's like a big fantasy author, right?
I bet it's got boats in it.
No, he's a big he's almost like a George R. R. Martin adjacent.
Oh,
right.
The Mistborn series, which is a big series.
I think my missus was reading those at one point.
He also finished Wheel of Time after Robert Jordan passed away.
Oh well, I guess somebody had to. I don't know how to feel about that sort of thing. Always feels a little bit mercenary.
Yeah, I mean, it depends if like there were plans in set while the person was alive and could sign off on it, as opposed to.
That could be sweet though. It's sweet mercy, like Boba Fett, after Django. It's not the worst.
Sweet mercy.
The Piss Bandit gives $10 and says the industry will be saved with a AAA porn game. Thoughts?
That was the old God of War.
Yeah, I think you might not be right there. I feel like the latest generation has proved itself to be of a slightly more prudish mindset than their predecessors.
No. We're hornier, but we've got a higher threshold. This is too vanilla. This is pathetic.
Oh, you need to see hardcore, full-on insertion action in your.
Maybe more plot. Maybe like a bear. That's just so 2004 even, because we grew up on like the Robin Hood when he was a fox. What's that gonna do? We grew up on Lola Bunnies and Roger Rabbits. What is this?
Yes, we never saw any of them fuck though.
That's not about the fucking. It's about the circumstances.
But I would argue it feels like, at least when I pay attention to film Twitter a lot, and it seems like there's a lot of like pearl clutching about sex scenes in movies and TV now, about like they have no place here and we shouldn't do them and they are useless and we shouldn't be doing this. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
well,
the impression I've been getting.
way.
It's less about, corporate, like conservative purse clutching, and more about people saying, "Oh, this isn't representative," or "Oh, sex is something that does not belong in our nice, cheerful, innocent lives."
Yeah.
To me, it's more execution. So, like, if every fucking film had like a "I'm driving to work" scene, I get very tired of that really quickly. And if everyone's like now just fucking, but if you end up with something like I don't know, a more exciting drive to work, something goes weird, like in what's his name, Sean.
Falling down.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah,
that was a drive to work gone crazy. Yeah.
yeah. You know, that kind of stuff. It's all about the execution, and I feel it's gone just too vanilla or almost just too formulaic. Right? Oppenheimer was kind of silly in that sense.
I thought the sex scene in Oppenheimer was great.
That's what I'm saying. I was like,
Let's
that was
read the Bhagavad Gita and let's do it in a like a Senate judicial hearing. I thought that was great.
Well,
yeah. So
well,
I'm like, I like that.
let's be the change you want to see in the world. I like tits. I liked seeing Kate Winslet get her tits out in Titanic because I could think about it later and jerk off.
Oh,
Go on.
I
okay.
like looking at tits.
That was
Damn
so
it.
long ago. I like the circumstances. I also enjoyed Kate Winslet, but it was everything leading through and for and seeing Jack's hand on the foggy window.
I thought it was
That was
romantic.
hotter.
I like that it was romantic.
But again, it was all the execution, all the circumstances. I think there was more, not even class. Feel free to be raunchy, but just there was more into it than what we're getting nowadays.
I also like bums.
Are there sex scenes in games that you think have been handled well?
What do you mean?
Or I guess
The only one that ever
intimacy in
leaps to
games?
mind. The only one that ever leaps to mind for me is the bathhouse scene in Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. That feels to me like one of the only genuinely erotic sex scenes in games.
Mhm.
A lot of the times it's just the sex scenes in, like Fahrenheit Indigo Prophecy, where it's just really embarrassing for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I think The Witcher 3 had it pretty good because he's got amnesia. So it's like, oh,
yeah.
there's the plot. She thickens.
The Witcher 3 had some good sex scenes where I was
He
like, this
thickens.
is hot. I'm going to think about it and jerk off later.
This man's.
And that's what you want.
But again, to me, it comes down to circumstances more so than the actual thing itself. This is coming from a man who's had enough sex to consider it trite.
It's too blasé.
Yeah, just more.
Yeah, this is someone who's had kids talking. Sex
That's
is
sex at
still
least twice.
sex is still pretty neat, even after it's been put through its practical purposes.
Oh, Nick, get your hammers out of there. Grow up, Nick. None of us would fucking exist if it weren't for sex.
Yeah, you should have more sex, Nick.
Hammers down, dongs up.
This is why we went independent, damn it, so we could talk about sex.
Boy,
we'll see.
that
We'll
was
see
quite
if
a tangent.
We'll see if the next team, the Atlas game, the Metaphor Refantasio, we'll see if they evolve what Persona and Catherine tried to do with sex.
No, I'd respect Nintendo if there was a Zelda Link sex scene in Tears of the Kingdom.
It was like acknowledged that they lived together in Hateno Village, but
I don't even like make a fuss of it. Just have them like wake up, and they're both in their underpants, and Zelda's just like spread eagled over Link and snoring in his face, and he looks a little bit put off.
I figured a kid would be more nonchalant while still implying the same circumstances.
Yeah, we don't know in Hyrule if that's where kids come from. They might be like, the Deku tree sprouts them.
Yeah, this is true.
I know that still feels like hedging it to me.
Fine,
you want to see like people first thing in the morning when they're in their underwear and they're looking at their most unattractive, just sort of spread eagled over each other and covered in hideous night sweat. That's how you.
It would be spread Ruto in Zelda, because that's what
That's what I'd appreciate. Anyway, we've stuck on the subject for long.
Another podcast. Yeah.
Humane Shield gives $1.99 US and says, Frost, love you, Letterkenny, to be fair.
Oh, Letterkenny's fun.
I don't know what he's on about.
It's a Canadian show.
I know about Letterkenny. Yeah, I've never watched it. A lot of people have recommended it to me, but it's on my list of things that I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not going to get to.
Yeah.
Tommy Salty gives 10 Polish zlotys and says, a sequel to 12 Minutes would help the industry.
Speaking of sex,
if you like. Do you think there should be like full-on incest porn? Oops, spoiler alert.
Stepbrother. Spoiler alert.
Spoiled the whole game.
What are you doing, half-brother Chan?
And Wing Potato, welcome to the tip jar. Terrible thing to be talking about a tip jar during all these conversations.
Just the tip jar, yeah.
Robo Knob the Snob gives brace yourself, 119.99 euros.
Woo!
Deep red super chat, and says paying for Patreon and super chat is like OnlyFans without the boobs. So I'd like at least to see Yahtzee saying something very positive about anything, Marty something very cynical, and Sebastian something with an uncharacteristically squeaky voice. I really like peppermint bark.
Every single one of us is going to die alone eventually.
Jesus. Let's see here. Voice is easy. What's uncharacteristic of me? I feel like I talk the most shite on this one.
Let's just say we represent the Lollipop Guild.
We represent the Lollipop Guild. There you go.
There you go. You can go higher than I can.
That was really impressive.
My voice is sort of locked into this register. I can try to go higher, but it goes. Ooh.
Wow! It just disappeared on him.
Yeah, where did it go? Bring it back. Also, we have a couple donos from off platform. Tommy Salty donated over on Ko-Fi. Thank you so much. Dear Windbreakers, it's me, Tommy. I think we can easily fix the gaming industry. It's all about respect and trust and smiling and not chasing the easy bucks and paying the creators what they deserve and about not mixing meats. By the way, have you heard about Wojtek the Bear? That was beautiful.
Yes.
That was beautiful. And then Alexander, $100 dono through PayPal.
Ooh,
you know what? We're gonna. That sounds like little Alexander the Great. Am I right?
Yeah, that was a great Alexander right there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alexander and Tommy. Thank you guys so much.
Okay then. Dylan Kuntz gives a comparatively paltry, but we're still grateful for $4.99, and says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Glad the channel's doing so well.
Thank you so much. You really threw me for a loop when you said that.
And then Robo Knob the Snob comes back after his huge donation with a $5.99 donation to say, also, I'm announcing next week's Yahtzee Tries, the Danganronpa series. You'll be lucky, Robo Knob the Snob.
There's nothing. The lights will be out next week.
Donkey Kong rom-com.
Luke Jimenez gives $2 Australian and says, comment loading.
That was clever.
It was a clever little joke there. And Tommy Dianault's Archives gives 5 Canadian and says, Marty saying The Last of Us 2 is of higher quality than the 2021 Best Picture winner is a horrible thing to say, especially when Last of Us 2 didn't deserve Game of the Year. When did you say that, Marty?
I didn't say it was specifically better than the 21 Best Picture winner, although I mean, depending on if you're talking about the Oscars of 2021 or the movie.
What was the 2021 Best Picture winner?
It would be either Nomadland or Coda, depending on if you're talking which year, if you're talking about when the Oscars aired or which movie. I do think The Last of Us Part 2 is better than both of those. But my comment was generally, I think Game Awards winners, by and large, are better than the movies that have won Oscars for the past 20 years. And there are exceptions. I think stuff like Parasite is incredible. But I think it is way better, a Game Award winner is generally of higher quality than something like The Artist or Crash or The King's Speech. I always like going after those because they're real boring movies.
Poor Colin Firth.
Poor Colin Firth. He's doing fine. He's handsome.
Rialan Quake gives $5 says, a game dev friend of mine is very worried about the future of game dev because of all the layoffs and potential investor loss of interest. Well, that's just actually... make games without investors then. Make little games that are cheaply made.
But how do you pay the bills?
Kickstarter, Patreon, same thing way we do.
Yeah, it's tough. We're fortunate enough to have previous fan bases and everything. We couldn't have if we just came together fresh, I think it would have been tough.
Unfortunate thing is you kind of have to have a real job, so to speak, as you're angling to get through. Yeah, it's a rough way. I wouldn't be as pessimistic as I've seen it. It's like, oh, why be a game developer? You should do it because you love it, but just be careful that you don't chase the dream into a corner.
Yeah, game development's never going to go away. It might be less lucrative for a while.
There you go.
But, we're all in it for the passion, just ostensibly.
Of the Christ.
Eero Lang gives €5. It says, since it's almost Christmas, what are your favorite Christmas games or games you like to play around that time of year? Thank you for great work. The only one I ever think of is James Pond 2, codename RoboCod.
What?
I wrote about this for a column that you can read on the $5 tier of Patreon and above about how there's a weird lack of holiday games in my mind.
Well, it's because no one can predict when games are going to come out anymore because they take so long to make.
Yeah, but like we have holiday season rolls around. I have a fucking stacked list of like 10, 15, 20 movies I like rewatching for the holiday season. Whereas with games, it's like, well, there's this one level in Banjo-Kazooie that's a pretty cool level, Freeze Easy Peak. So there was Christmas Nights, the game Nights into Dreams. Shout out to Yuji Naka. Had a full-on like expansion that was just Christmasified everything, which I think was neat. And Parasite Eve is my favorite Christmas game.
There was a Christmas Unicum 3D expansion.
Yeah.
Two things there. Live service games are constantly updating themselves for that stuff.
Yeah.
And the actual game, I try to play Skyrim at first snowfall. It's nice. The windows
I like that. Yeah. There's also the games that sort of take place on a real calendar to where you can get some of those vibes. Your Stardew, your Animal Crossing, stuff like Bully or Persona. Yeah.
That's not really a Christmas game, though, is it?
No, there's like Christmas bits of it. Stuff that feels kind of festive.
Yeah, Bully out of Christmas time.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, there was Dead Rising 4. That was all Christmas themed, right?
Yeah, and it was awful.
It was pretty bad. Yeah. Not great.
Yeah, I remember calling that the Dead Rising Holiday Special.
Oh no!
Just
see, clever. It just wasn't good.
Just pause for my little round of applause there. Wesley Thomas gives $5 Says we need offline play and physical releases. Remember, if a download isn't legally property, a pirated game can't legally be called stolen goods. Yeah, you go and argue that in a court of law.
Yeah,
Thomas.
that's true.
Here's the funny thing: is like that makes games closer to like food, and your dine and dashing is a thing. So
yeah.
I do agree. Even though I've strayed away from physical, I always think it's a bummer when something like Alan Wake 2 comes out and doesn't have a physical version. Granted, now with so many day one updates, what is a physical version? Like
you can always make a physical version if you want one that bad. You know, burn it to a disc, get an empty box, print out a cover.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like they say, pirating. Yeah. If
you just want to display it on a shelf, then the option's available.
That's true.
Ryan Betts gives $5. Says the game Soma had an AI CEO, and that turned out very badly for both the characters and the plot in general. But I say we give it a shot.
Yeah, it's like the plot of Portal.
Yeah. Well, fiction always turns it into this classic sci-fi lesson of we should not have advanced. That was bad of us. We went too far.
Whoopsie
but
daisies.
I think, AI will only be hostile if we let it be hostile. Humane Shield gives $4.99 It says games need to focus on gameplay loop and not flashy game mechanics. Devolver Digital type studios are needed. We need Better Than Life and Be Done. Boy, that was all over the place.
Better Than Life. What was that one?
I think it's a reference to the Red Dwarf concept of a VR game that just realizes your every innermost subconscious desire and fantasy. And I'm not sure that's particularly practical as a target.
Oh, look at that.
I don't think the focus on gameplay loop and not flashy game mechanics, I don't think those are necessarily separate. I would say
Portal, that's what
Portal is a combination of both of them, right? Portal is a very flashy game mechanic, but also leads to a very good loop.
Yeah, but that those are tricky to come up with.
Yeah,
I suppose they just mean like substance over spectacle, which
sure.
Yeah,
you talked about in your cult take about
and something like Superliminal or Viewfinder could be called a game with a flashy game mechanic that doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'd say like Forspoken was hella flashy.
Very flashy.
Yeah, well, in the sense that you flashed a lot of magic around with your magic hands.
Yeah. Wasn't anything crazy, but yeah.
Also,
Maduin, sorry.
Vactor joined the tip jar. Thank you so much, Vactor.
Oh, nice. Maduin Argentis gives 10 Polish zlotys and says, hey, y'all, any of you ever played Drakengard?
No, but I've watched so many video essays on it.
That was
Drakengard.
that was the precursor to Nier, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, and I believe Drakengard 3 has one of several endings that is quite literally a like canonical prequel to the
Yeah.
Nier games.
Yeah.
They're apparently they do not play very well. They do not hold up mechanically. But I've watched essays on them. They're kind of fascinating. It reminds me of when you think about early FromSoft games, your King's Field, your Echo Knights, to where I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna go back and play these, but I like knowing about them.
And then Hjorth87 gives 50 Danish kroner and says, I just want a parent tap. Cuts all filler and gives a recap and briefing if you join after more than a week. Love Cyberpunk and Baldur's Gate 3, but they be long.
What game did you guys say had a recap function?
There's a few. There's the Alone in the Dark reboot, also called Alone in the Dark Inferno, had a sort of TV style previously on flashback thing that would play every time you loaded a save.
Yeah,
Huh.
I think Final Fantasy 13 had it. 16 has like the active time lore thing to where you can kind of get caught up. I'm playing. So I really liked. I'm going somewhere with this. I really liked the first two Pokemon games, Pokemon Blue and Pokemon Silver, and I didn't play another one until the Switch. I had a big gap where I didn't play any, and so I got this fancy 3DS that has all the 3DS games on it. And I'm not telling anyone where I got it because it's illegal. But I wanted to play a Pokemon game, and so I'm playing Leaf Green, which came out for the GBA in 2004. And every time I load my game up, it has the last it shows like a quick montage in black and white of the last 4 major things I did in the game. So I made it to this town, and then I beat this gym leader, and then I made it through this cave, and then I got to a dead end because a Snorlax was sleeping, and then I get into the game, and I'm like, this is great. Like, why don't more games just do this? This was very smart. Have things that are sort of like key moments, and it just shows you really quick clips of the last few you did.
I like it.
Thumbs up.
A superb owner gives $5 and says, how about we keep the shutting down of the Solar Studios, but instead of laying off the devs, they just split up into Dave the Diver-sized teams? Well, that's what they're doing, a superb owner.
Yeah, that's
I
what.
mean, they're just doing it without, the corporate mandate. They just decide independently to become Dave the Diver-sized teams.
We need funding.
Dun, dun.
Yeah, well, no system is perfect, is it?
Agreed.
Bag of Decks gives $5 and says, just want to say thanks for all the years of laughs and to the AIN crew for introducing me to D&D. Been having a blast. Literally just exploded my character. And it exploded with such impact that you lost the last letter of half your words, Bag of Decks.
Wild Magic will do that too.
Yeah, Wild Magic will. Yeah, thank you so much. As a reminder, Second Wind, Omar and Jack have the full rights to Adventures Nigh back. Re-airing season 3 on a weekly basis. Episode 2 of season 3 will be airing this Saturday, every Saturday until we get to the brand new episodes, probably in February. My math works out.
I'm looking forward to seeing Mortimer get his actual character arc finished.
Yeah, and then as a reminder, all the super chats over the next month or so are all going towards our next funding goal of Adventures Night Season 4 on location this spring.
Which we'll be heading off to record sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Probably bigger, like straight after season 3's finished going out.
The idea is a bigger behind the scenes crew, so even better production budgets and quality and everything. So good shit.
Yes, indeed. BS Marsh gives $5 and says, have you guys considered a tier above the Phoenix level? I know I would get it, and others would as well. I'm sure others would as well. Also, hi, Toffee.
Oh, Toffee.
What's above a Phoenix? What's a big bird?
Just God.
The sky.
God.
Just
the sky
God.
Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something Nick has considered. I think we have to sort of, now that we, after the holiday break and we've had almost 2-ish months down, I think we're going to be, looking at our tiers, seeing what we can tweak, what's reasonable, what we can add, that kind of stuff. We don't want to nickel and dime anyone. We want to make everything worth it. So we're putting a lot of care in everything. But we appreciate it.
Have we brought back the get to dictate what game I review in the next slow period?
We sure have. That's for Phoenix tier.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, that's going to be a big tournament bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hjorth87 gives 20 Danish kroner and says, Marty, tell me about Skies of Arcadia. You're cute.
I take it that's in response to your retro review
Skies of Arcadia was a game that was released for the Sega Dreamcast and then remastered in Skies of Arcadia Legend for the Nintendo GameCube and has never been anywhere else. An incredible swashbuckling air pirate RPG from an internal team at Sega. Wonderful characters. Yahtzee, you might even like it because it is swashbuckling. You are air pirates. You are just pirates that soar through the air.
Well, I do like a good swashing of the buckles. It's true.
Yeah.
Is it the same without water?
Yeah, you even you move your ship around the world map. There are not only people will jump on your ship and there's sort of hand-to-hand battles, but there's also ship-to-ship battles, which are like cool and tactical. Really big adventure. I really like it. There's also, it has one of my favorite base building things. Like halfway through the game, you get stranded on a desert island, and then you start to make that your pirate fortress, and you recruit. You're like kind of like Suikoden. You recruit characters from around the world. Like you'll meet a chef, and if you help his side quest, he'll come and become the chef for your pirate fortress, and then your characters like healing does more for your characters in battle and stuff, and the island grows and grows as you get new people. It's very cool.
All right, bored now. Save it for your retro reviews.
Nope, we're voting. That's what you're playing this summer. We already decided.
Damn.
Arms and Legs gives 2 Canadian and says, how much money to get everyone in costume?
0 for Frost.
I have a rule that I only put on costumes that to the uninitiated party looks like normal clothes. Like I dressed up in a James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2 costume once, and very few people got it, and that was gratifying.
See,
did you just rub your face a bunch?
No, I put a lot of effort into it, actually. I like printed out patches to put on an old Green Army jacket and everything.
My threshold's lower because I will go out in this, so.
I bet you will.
Yeah, we'll dress up. Halloween.
You provide the costume. I'll wear anything is the thing, because this
Marty,
stuff gets expensive.
If you had like carte blanche, what would you most want to cosplay as, Marty?
Banjo, the bear.
And
I want an actual live bird in my backpack.
Oh God!
Can I be the Riddler?
You be the Riddler.
You could put little shit trophies everywhere. Yeah.
I bet I could pull off the Riddler pretty well.
Yeah, you're kind of like a Riddler.
Yeah, I'm really good at escape rooms.
I bet the Riddler is building and playing.
There you go. Analingus Dingus gives $5. Says, glad to catch this one live. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, Analingus
Dingus. And then John Connor gives 20 Canadian and says, will consumer rights get better or worse in the coming years in relation to Best Buy / Walmart saying they won't carry physical games and online libraries deleting games or denying access to owned game certificates? Question mark.
It'll get worse and then it'll get better once they get sued. So
yeah, life is eternally a sine wave.
I mean,
there will be ups and there will be downs.
That's a shit version of Life is a Highway. Ew.
I want to ride it.
Life is a sine wave.
Well, highways are pretty flat.
That's
true. To get out of the cities.
Best Buy and Walmart, I don't think they have any legal right or legal obligation to sell physical games, do they?
No.
Well, no one's got any legal obligation to sell anything.
Damn. You just wrinkled my brain.
If it doesn't make financial sense to sell, then they won't.
Yeah, the government would have to take it and say it's too big to fail. So
Hunter Roach gives a massive $50.
Oh my gosh, Hunter.
To say happy holidays to everyone at Second Wind. Looking forward to seeing what you do in the new year. Keep on being awesome. Will do, Hunter Roach.
So many cool things planned.
Happy holidays.
Lucky Seventh gives 30 shekels and says, now that you've used up your Second Wind, will you re-roll into a different class or remain a fighter in the industry? Merry Christmases. D&D jokes.
Waka.
Ken Walter gives $5 and says, I know Yahtzee only believes in games with narrative, but party games are valid too. Who's giving me something to play with my 8-year-old besides Mario Kart? Well, you could always, go out to the backyard and throw a ball around, asshole.
Jeez. I mean, Nintendo does give a lot. Your Mario parties, your Mario Wonders.
Go to a park, push them in a swing.
Merry Christmas.
Party Animals. That was a nice game we played. I feel like kids could enjoy Party Animals.
That was a cute game, yeah.
It Takes Two. Teach your son about divorce.
Yeah, I've got a swing in my backyard that I push my kids in on occasion.
Me too, funny enough. I don't have kids.
That's weird.
No, it came with the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are there like ghost children? Do you ever look out at night?
I
and there's,
think
like,
so. I think
spirit?
everything children related is scarier in
There's
like
a
horror
house near where I
context.
live that's got like a swing in the front yard, and during Halloween they put like a corpse riding the swing.
Well, that's
Cool.
cool.
And
Like a
I think
fresh one, or
no, a fake one, but I think it's still up there. It's still up there for Christmas.
put a
The
hat on it.
corpse on a swing.
Just put like
Fresh
a
one.
Santa hat on the corpse.
Uh,
Smask Audio gives $2 and says Toffee Cam.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric, for providing people with Toffee Cam.
Toffee's under my lap desk at the moment. He likes burrowing into little tight spaces. Cree gives $5 and says, with this $5 I fund you. Now dance for your money, dance.
That was a
Now,
toffee.
Cree, our obligation is only to read out the words, not to obey the commands within them.
Give him a little
Perhaps you
jingle.
should have read the small print.
Give him a little white man jingle.
That was the white. You got full screen for the white man jingle.
Oh, there it is. There you go. I
think
forgot
there's a
what
little
show I
bit-
just watched. It's like
that's
God gave the white man this dance.
That's far too much vertical movement to be a white man dance.
Damn.
That's better.
Only horizontal.
Alavam Inc. gives $10 and says, what breed is Toffee? Toffee is a Chihuahua mix. Just don't
With-
ask me what mixed with.
Oh,
We just, that was the best guess the shelter had. He was like 5 years old when we got him.
Hmm.
Plastic Roses gives $5 and says, happy holidays. My spouse introduced me to you all. He hasn't stopped talking about Second Wind. Appreciate the content. Boy, he sounds like quite a Second Wind bag, Plastic Roses.
I want to. That was good. Tell your spouse he's a real gem, a real superb. Big old
Tell
thumb
him
up.
that as well. Dark Groove 86 gives €5. Says, Marty, were you good enough to beat Lies of P without using specters on boss fights?
I got about 45 minutes into Lies of P and then I quit.
I was
no.
going to say.
You guys have
I
played way
didn't
more
play-
Lies of P than I have, so you
Yeah,
guys-
I got way further than that.
I beat it. Yeah.
Spectres, I'm assuming, are like the spirit ashes, the summons.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you use?
Yeah, I
did
don't
you use a
recall
lot?
them ever being much help.
Oh no, they're good if you get some fruit upgrades on them. But yeah, didn't use them too
Okay.
much.
Gay Bear Bro 2 gives $10 and says, with Nintendo generally being the first to experiment with game tech, handhelds, motion gaming, etc., how likely do you think their next system might be a full dive VR system?
Not at all.
Has been weird
Nintendo
that they've-
learned. I think
It's
Nintendo
weird that
learned their
they've
lesson.
resisted. They have resisted the VR pull thus far.
'Cause they're done with single player stuff because they're the family unit, the family console. That's the one that all the Latinos go for. And so VR, one helmet. I don't think there's a draw for them.
I mean, they have.
I mean,
They
the big
tried,
franchises
they
are
had-
all single player.
They had the Virtual Boy. They had the Labo. Both Virtual Boy, I would say, was ahead of its time and bad.
Yes.
Labo, I would
Way,
say, was
way
just
too ahead
bad.
of its time.
Was just bad. But yeah, I don't see Nintendo as being the one. That being said, anytime I try to predict what Nintendo does, they do something very different. So my prediction is that the next Switch is going to be just very similar to the current Switch, almost a Switch 2, but I'm probably wrong. Super Switch.
I can't even think of what it would look like. This is this biblically accurate Switch.
Biblically accurate Switch.
Like designed in accordance with the design specifications of the Ark of the Covenant. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Either that or the angels with like all these eyes going, fear not.
Because if
Yeah.
you've read the Bible, which I have
Too
fleetingly,
much. Yeah.
it goes into surprising amount of depth as to the exact proportions of the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah. And
It's like a DIY guide.
it's like the fourth chapter called Numbers. It is just numbers. It's awful.
Yeah, basically.
Well, at least it is what it says it is.
Yeah.
And then Harry's son, thank you so much in the tip jar. Appreciate you, Harry's son.
And Doran Grossman Naples gives $5 and says, there was a neat article called Everyone is Beautiful and No One is Horny about how a lot of media fetishizes the body while desexualizing it. I know. I made the point once in a review that there's a difference between sexualizing and having a character who's sexualized and a character who's sexual. As in, you can imagine them having sex as like a regular part of their lives.
Marvel movies in a nutshell. Sexualized, but lacking any sex to speak of.
I think of like JRPG anime girls. Like, there's a lot of anime girls that are basically just designed to cater to fetishes, but you could never imagine them actually having sex with anyone.
Yeah. I see what you mean. Huh.
Could you imagine Bayonetta having sex with someone?
Not having them survive after the fact. No.
No.
Strikes me the type that eats after mating. So.
Because that's very clearly a game that's trying to be, flamboyant and sort of sexually open with its like fetishistic element, but still, the character doesn't strike me as someone who would actually have sex with someone.
Yeah, because it's like a hot art teacher going here. You're still sort of, there's that separation.
Yeah.
Still maintain reverence to it. It hits in the fucking.
There'd probably have to be a lot of, destruction of the environment if she had to have sex with someone.
It hits the Madonna whore complex.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Boom.
Christian Hansen gives $2.79 and says, "Has internet fame changed your opinion of yourself?" Well, it's kind of had to, Christian Hansen, because I never used to think I had a decent sounding voice. But, people have hammered into me over the years that I do have a decent sounding voice, even a decent sounding singing voice. So I've just had to basically accept the fact that my voice sounds different in my head than it does to people listening to it.
Does though, yeah.
The case of everyone, right?
Because it's coming like you're hearing it through your own skull. So yeah.
Yeah, but even when I'm listening to recordings of myself, I don't think my voice sounds that great.
No, fair enough. What about you, Marty?
But everyone tells me, "Oh boy, I love listening to this." People who aren't even trying to butter me up, like people who buy my audio book and say "Well, I never heard of this author and I didn't thought the text was shit, but the voice recording was really good."
You love that, don't you? Hey, get out the way, asshole, with the nice sounding voice.
Yeah.
What about you, Marty? Has their internet fame changed your opinion on you?
No, it's always it's always humbling to occasionally meet someone who recognizes me for my work. I remember I went to Milwaukee, maybe it was like almost a year ago, and I went to a bookstore that I used to live by, and I used to be in my regular bookstore, and it was back when just Yahtzee and I were doing slightly something else, and the guy behind the counter was like, "Oh my God, I was watching your episode this morning while getting ready for work. I really appreciate you guys." And I was like, "Oh, that's incredible. That means the world to me." Like that, I don't know. It's really cool, especially when it's just sort of a small fleeting thing like that. It kind of puts in perspective that we make things that people enjoy and might get them through a shitty day, which I think is cool.
Fine stuff. Felicia Day mistook me for Matt Mercer once. That's peak. There's nothing anyone can say to me that will top that.
There you go.
I haven't met Felicia Day, but I once nearly met her. She was in Brisbane for the local game convention, Supernova pop culture convention, and she just happened to be in my favorite bar at the time it was on. My favorite bar where I liked to sit at the bar and just drink and chat to people. But she was surrounded by her fans, so I just avoided them and just sat at the bar and drank. And the bartender was going, "Hey, that's Felicia Day over there," and I was like, "Oh, how interesting." And then she left. And then I posted a tweet saying, "Hey, that's funny. Felicia Day was just hanging out at my favorite bar." Then she replied, said, "Why didn't you introduce yourself, you asshole?"
That's the thing there. It always, if one thing has changed, is that I should have said something more. Yeah. I'm too nonchalant. Yeah. But then these people are like, "Oh, we were in the same location. We could have talked." It's like, "Oh, I should have said something. I'm sorry." Yeah.
Oh well. Yes. So anyway, Yoshi Katoshi gives $4.99 and says, "What do you all think of games that have unlockable characters with completely different mechanics, like Symphony of the Night or Lament of Innocence?"
I love those. Binding of Isaac, getting Green Goblin after beating Spider-Man in the old Spider-Man games.
I like a game that once you've beaten it, it unlocks a way for you to just take the game apart.
Mm-hmm.
That too.
And that often with an alternative character with silly mechanics.
Yeah, and that's a great thing for the people who really love the game and want to replay it. And then at the same time, if you want to bounce off and play something else, you don't feel like you're missing too much. Good stuff.
Witticism gives $25 and says, "Happy holidays, gents. I hope you all enjoy your time off. What games are you planning on playing during break, if any?" I probably won't have time to play much. I'm going up to the mountains with the in-laws again.
Oh, nice. You going skiing?
No. Probably just sit around looking out over the snowy scenery, drinking hot chocolate and being, thoughtful.
That's ambient.
That's nice.
Take your Switch with you.
I went skiing once and I fucking hated it. So never again.
Go sledding. Let's go sledding. It's great. It's like skiing, but you get to sit down.
I'd rather just not be covered in horrible wet snow that makes me feel cold and miserable.
That's tough. Yeah.
He's got a point there. Me right now on the duck. If anything, I'm making a big list of all the games to be coming through in 2024. That way, after New Year's, I can just crank on those. So, Cookie Cutter just came out. It's been looking neat.
Oh yeah, I started on that.
I haven't gotten to play it yet.
We're going to be streaming that tonight, 6 p.m. Central. Casey, Jesse, and Jess going to be streaming.
There you go.
Maybe I'll play some more of that. I did play through Sanabi.
Oh yeah, Casey's got a review of that coming up as well. Bite-sized.
I quite liked it.
Yeah, he was. He liked it a lot too. Really liked the grapple hook mechanics, and he thought the story actually came together well.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't know if I'd be Shadows of Doubt excited and wanting to push it to everyone I heard, but I liked it.
Is it early access?
It's out, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's out.
Yeah.
I think he just meant Shadows of Doubt excited, as in like not putting the
like
Yahtzee
rule breaking. Oh, okay. I figured it's like rule breaking
no.
exciting. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mort? What are you doing over the holidays?
In terms of a game I haven't played that's on my list, I need to sit down, restart, and fully play Alan Wake 2. So just like it came out at just the worst fucking time when we changed jobs, and I just haven't been in like a headspace to like sit down and just like totally immerse myself in that. So I'm gonna do that, and then in my current quest to replay everything Final Fantasy VII adjacent, I finished the original, and I'm going to be jumping into Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus soon.
Oh, Dirge of Cerberus is really bad.
Yes.
Alan Wake 2, my recommendation for playing Alan Wake 2 is don't be one of those people who feels like they need to kill every monster just because the combat mechanics are a thing.
Okay.
If you just disengage and avoid them where possible, you'll probably have a much more fun time.
Okay, great. I still have that mindset from replaying of the Silent Hill games, so I'll just continue that.
There you go. The Chaos card gives 199 and says, have you talked about how one of the creators of Baldur's Gate 3 said they won't do season passes because they created a big game worth the money? Quaint.
Yeah, was it Game Pass? They're like, they don't want it on there. They want to buy it for the price that they put it at.
Good.
And then God of War Ragnarok just gave out free DLC.
That's like a really meaty bit, like a meaty story thing.
Yeah, and the way whenever that happens, everyone goes, boy, it's nice when they do that. So one would hope that would be perhaps become a more common practice.
Yeah.
Again. So it's not just chopping off bits of games and selling it back to us like it was for a while. Because it's instant goodwill, isn't it? Like the Stardew Valley guy, just constantly putting out more content for his game.
Yeah.
It's hard to hate someone who does that for free.
Maybe he's hiding something.
Well, that's the cancellation of an individual that I probably would never be able to cope with. Eric Barone, don't get cancelled now.
Yeah, I was about to say that's his responsibility.
You were the chosen one.
Yes.
Onwards.
Zoe Preisvelg, or however you say that, gives $5 and says, we don't get holiday games anymore because the last one was so awful it killed an entire franchise. Dead Rising 4, Lamau.
Oh, R.I.P.
I think I remember getting that for free once, and I was like, why is it Christmas? Because it was like during Games of Summer.
Oh.
Well, that's why they don't do holiday games anymore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bring him back. We got to bring him back.
Uber Noob gives $19.99 US, says, Merry Christmas all. Enjoy your time off next week. Great hoodie frost.
Thank you, partner.
And then Mark Davis gives £1.99 British pounds, the best kind of pounds, and says, have a lovely Christmas, gents. XOXOXO.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Hugs and kisses to you too.
Devin Ashton-Brenner gives $10, says, do you think that more studios might do free DLC, seeing how God of War just came out of nowhere with its DLC, and as far as I can tell, warmly received? Oh, didn't even know that was coming up. Yes, I think people are sitting up and noticing how it gets you instant free goodwill.
I think it depends, because from what I've heard, this is like so different from the main game as far as like the actual mechanics. You wouldn't want to paywall something like that.
Well, it actually acknowledges God of War 1 to 3, apparently.
Very much so. Yeah.
Neat.
Phil Mayasup gives 50 Norwegian kroner and says, how would you prefer your sequel made? One that improves upon existing mechanics or one that tries something new and daring? Well, both can be true. Phil Mayasup, that's the wonderful thing about video games.
I'll take, but if you had to choose, I would take, I'll take the first one.
Well, if it's a sequel, then yeah, improve upon existing mechanics. If you're making something new and daring, just make it a new game.
What if it's like the third sequel?
I mean, to bring back Metal Gear, I think Metal Gear does that. I think Metal Gear Solid 2 does both of those things very well. It improves upon the mechanics of the original while doing something very daring that a lot of people did not like at the time, but has been looked back on fondly.
Nice.
There you go. Hagaroth gives $10 and says, have you heard of the Dralox creator? Seems like they're making an indie game in the background while writing out lore on their Discord. Might be cool to check out. Okay.
Dralox creator. Oh, Dralox is the game. Creator is the first word of the next sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like little creatures.
I'm not getting anything. You got a link?
I just found like a tweet or a Twitter account. What is it called? Putting it in the chat.
Yeah.
It looks, if this is the thing, it looks like fishmen who fuck.
Oh.
If this is the thing I'm thinking of, but if you look at these pictures, it does look like fishmen who fuck.
Well, thank goodness someone's fucking.
See, if humans are going to do it, then the fishmen will have to stand up. And Eric Headley, welcome to the Green Gang. Thank you so much, Eric.
Fish don't actually fuck with like physical contact, though, do they? They just lay eggs, and then one of them jerks off over them.
Is it?
These ones do.
Cloacias, so
yeah, these ones look like they use probably their head tentacles, much like the avatars.
Okay, well, moving on. Raylin Pratt gives 20 Canadian dollars and says, been living the new Rogue Trader game and just curious if there's any related upcoming content you can tease. Enjoy your break.
I keep hearing about Rogue Trader, Warhammer, yeah?
Yeah.
I ain't played it.
Yeah, it feels, it's one of those games that's slightly out of a lot of our wheelhouses. Also, just came out very late in the year to when we're all sort of winding down for the rest of the year. I know people have really liked it.
I've got my review of Avatar coming out this week, and that's enough of this year for me. Thanks.
Do they do any tentacle sex in that video game? Like in
Avatar?
Can you use your tentacle? Yeah, that's like a big thing in the movies.
Yeah, they use their braids to like.
Yeah, you plug into like trees, and that's how you get upgrades.
Oh, interesting. Is it like a USB where it's like,
you
wrong,
download upgrades from the tree internet.
Oh, I'm sure there's a pun there somewhere.
Anyway, Paul. Sorry, Mr. One. Fella Guy gives $5 and says, is anyone a fan of the Ogre Battle games? It's a legit crime that Nintendo won't release Person of Lordly Caliber on the Switch. No, I've never played them.
I've played a little bit of like Ogre Battle 64 and Ogre Battle Tactics Let Us Cling Together. And then I know they released Tactics Ogre, a new one on Switch and PC, or maybe just Switch. But yeah, I've never dabbled too far into them. I know their fans love them though.
Did these used to be on arcade cabinets?
Ogre Battle?
Yeah, I feel like I was in a bowling alley and they had this in there.
No, Ogre Battle was like Final Fantasy Tactics. Those would be weird games in the arcade. Maybe you're thinking of Gauntlet?
Maybe, yeah.
Has a bunch of like half-naked dudes hanging out.
That'll do you.
Yeah.
Paul gives $2 and says, Marty, can you give me your best Nick impression?
Oh, God. I'm Nick Calandra, editor-in-chief of Second Wind, Halo, DVD, tin sets, Mountain Dew, hockey, your band.
Blu-ray.
Please give us money. Love Blu-rays. I love Blu-rays.
The big one.
And you scream like a girl in scary games.
Oh, I love a spook 'em up.
And
what's the
These
big one?
Nuts.
These Nuts. Loves These
There
Nuts
you go.
as well.
Cree gives $2 and says, $2 clarification. It's pronounced Cry. Oh, maybe should have read that before I read his name there. Sorry, Cry. Doom Rider gives $5 and says, thoughts on teaming up with Dropout as fellow thriving corpo survivors?
Ooh.
Dropout was the College Humor, I believe. College Humor folks that did a similar thing. I know.
College Dropout. I see.
Yeah, very clever girl. I think Nick might have modeled some things after that, or was keeping an eye on them in terms of like how they did something that was similar to what we did.
Well, okay then.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few corporate survivors making a living these days, and I fear there's only going to be more. Can't all cross over with each other. There'd never be enough time in the day. Hunter is tired gives $9.99 and says, just wanted to say you all are doing an incredible job with Second Wind. Can't wait to see what great things you bring to us in the future. Hope you all have a wonderful day.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hunter is tired. Then Humane Shield comes with $1.99 and says, feck, girls, drink. Which is a reference to the Irish sitcom Father Ted.
Classic
For those
Father Ted.
interested in connecting.
I've seen it, but I don't remember that. Who makes that?
That's Father Jack. Father Jack just can only communicate by yelling feck, girls, and drink.
Yeah. God, it's been a while since I've seen Father Ted.
Beneath 1111 gives 100 Swedish krona and says, idea for Yahtzee tries. Write random game name on paper sheets, spread them on floor, put dog treats, and see what toffee will go for first. Also, Frost Dance gave an angel wings. I fear the problem with that method, beneath 11111, is that it will be biased towards whichever one was closest to Toffee's face.
It's a practical dog. Huh?
Yes. And he loves his little treats. He loves, when he's in the kitchen, he loves licking the floor all over where the babies sit. Like, there doesn't even need to be treats there anymore. He just instantly beelines there and starts licking the floor.
Phantom treats.
Just refreshing the page again because they keep flooding in.
Oh, we're almost at the end.
Captain President gives $10 and says, merch idea, t-shirt with Marty's face captioned, don't mix your meats.
It's true. We should not mix our meats.
There's a story.
We as a society need to have single meat meals.
There is nothing wrong with mixing mates. Surf and turf and all that. Pie.
Do you think you'd go for surf and turf if it didn't rhyme, Yachts? I feel like that's most of its buying power.
I generally don't like seafood, so I wouldn't get it anyway.
There we go. Yeah, see?
Stick with the turf. I like all meats. We just need them. Gotta keep them separated. The offspring.
This is a weird hill you keep dying on.
I don't keep dying on it. I just mentioned it once, and then everyone keeps bringing it up, and I'm being persecuted for my beliefs.
This is true. It's not Marty doesn't bring it up. We do it for him.
Yeah. You ever had barbecue takeout? You just order some tri-tip and some pulled pork and maybe some chicken. And you just eat it on the same plate.
Yeah. One meat, many sides.
Wait, what if
choose one meat and then get several sides?
What if multiple meat but same animal? So you've got like pork chops and links. Sure. You get that? Okay.
It has to be the exact. They have to have a certificate that it was the same physical animal.
This is its ass, its belly. Okay. It's okay.
So you'd be fine with eating beef with Jello on the side.
Yeah, as long as it's from that same cow.
Interesting.
All right then. Cry, thank you for telling me how to pronounce your name, gives $5 and says, Yahtzee, do you find that being a maker of games affects your ability to enjoy games since you know how the sausage is made, so to speak?
Speaking of meats.
Well, it does in the sense that sometimes I'll play an indie game I really like and start thinking, you asshole, I wish I'd thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Because often you play something that's such a simple idea that makes you, and you think to yourself, oh, I could have done that.
Do you have an example of that?
If, I don't know, Mussolini, maybe?
No.
Such a simple concept, and yet nobody had done it. Oh, you swine. Oh, you innovative,
rascals.
Beautiful swine. Onyx Alchemist gives $10 and says, Phoenix Tier here. Just wanted to say thanks for the coverage of World of Horror. I've been buying friends' copies for years, and it's nice to see it getting more attention now that it's out of early access.
Yeah, World of Horror is it's really cool.
It's that sort of Junji Ito style roguelike thing.
1-bit, 2-bit game.
What makes a rogue?
Runs. Like you end a run and then you kind of redo it. Yeah. Like you're meant to get better at the game as you runs are relatively short and you can fail runs and yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's great stuff.
It's very story focused.
Yeah. One of the rare games. It's on Switch and it's on Steam, and it is way better on PC because that game needs a mouse interface. On the Switch, it is kind of bunk trying to do that with.
Is it proper runs or is it time loop?
It is proper run. So ostensibly, to get through the game, you need to like complete 5 quests that are pulled from like a pool of like something like 30 or 40 that have some random elements to them. And you need to complete all 5 quests within a certain amount of time, sort of like the day, to finish the game proper. But then you learn things about the quests so that the next times you do them, it's easier and stuff. So,
oh, that's cool. Kind of neat.
Doran Grossman Naples gives $5. Says, "Oh, and for the record, as someone who ate Papa Murphy's every Thursday for 8 years straight, it is terrible pizza. Just wanted to set that straight."
Wow. We didn't say anything. We didn't bring it up this time. This is like the meat mixing thing. This isn't
like the meat mixing and the incest. Mine's gonna be Papa Murphy's. Where I'm like what you like. I just find the business idea a bit odd, but like what you like.
What a contentious topic this continues to be. Pirate Captain Jack gives $5 and says, "Going to put more hours into Baldur's Gate 3. I know I am over the holidays."
See, I'm tempted. I'm real tempted, but like the download alone.
I think I've been playing Talos Principle 2 to finish off all the optional puzzles in my spare time.
Still fun.
Still fun as long as I'm listening to a podcast while I do it.
Yeah.
I like puzzles. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. Puzzles are great.
Unshaven Dylan gives $5. Says, "Thanks, Yards, for calling me a windbag. I talk about Second Wind non-stop. Been in the community since day one. Happy to continue to support Second Wind." The other side of that argument.
World's greatest windbag.
That's what all our fans are now. They are windbags.
Windbags. Nice.
Thanks for the money, windbags. And finally, Snake in the Garden gives €5 and says, "Forget meat mixing. Marty, please tell the class your shirt buttoning philosophy."
Go on. I put on a shirt with buttons. Where do you start when you are going to button up a shirt? Where do you start?
From the top.
Like which button? You start from the top? Frost, where do you start?
Top, first one.
I start in the middle, and more often than not, I get it wrong. Then several buttons down, I've realized I am not aligned.
Yeah, see, that's the issue with starting in the middle. I don't know what got you started on that habit.
It feels much better.
See, I used to.
Realize how much better it feels.
I used to do that. I've converted because that kept happening. When I was like, I got a janky shirt. No, I'm just an idiot.
How does it feel better to button from the middle than from the top?
It feels better because when you get it right, that is a thrill that cannot be replicated. Do you ever feel good about getting to the end of buttoning your shirt?
You get to do it twice.
One time out of 5, I feel great. I'm like, I'm a fucking wizard.
I feel warmer after I finished buttoning up my shirt. If that's what you mean.
Yeah, no. I used to do that, but
Loki's wager says, "What's wrong with him?"
Yeah, no, because like it's not like anyone's gonna start from the bottom. And being Hispanic, and I used to wear like plaid shirts. You get that little cholo moment, so I was like, maybe I should.
Yeah, there was like wrestlers in WCW who just had the top one button. They might have been Conan.
Those are cholos.
Yeah, that was great.
If they only button the top,
yeah, he was great. Yeah.
Eric, member for 1 month. Eric, our producer, used his 1 month member chat to say, "For my happy birthday, I ate an apple cake with Pikmin 4 decor."
HBD. Oh my God, has a cake with Pikmin 4. Did you take a picture? Can we see
apple cake?
Picture? Also, Argentinian barbecue. That sounds incredible.
Incredible. You ever had is it Brazilian barbecue where you
like shave it off the sword or whatever?
And they keep bringing you in meat until you tell them to stop. You'd hate it with your mixed meat problem.
Wait, they what? Ooh.
A Brazilian restaurant, like a Brazilian barbecue restaurant, you sit at a table and you've got like a little token on the table that's like a green light, and if you flip it over, it's a red light. And as long as it's on the green light, people keep coming to your table with like meat on skewers and says, "Would you like some of this?" And you say, "Yes, sir." And they keep doing that until you turn your token over to indicate you are full.
I take that as a challenge. I'd sign a DNF or a DNR because I'm gonna go into a coma. That's beautiful.
Yeah, Fogo de Chao. That's the big chain version of that.
Nah, never had one. I grew up on a farm. Oh, that'd be great.
Snake in the Garden gives €2 and says, "You know your sicko squad loves you, Marty."
Sicko Squad.
And then
Ding,
Mary
ding.
Mello gives $5 and says, "Here for FYI, got lots of Papa Murphy's growing up. It was the only pizza you could get from a restaurant on food stamps because it wasn't pre-cooked."
See,
That's
that
the
was
thing,
the detail we didn't know about.
Yeah, that's the thing there. Someone said, I think it was Monday, who said Little Caesars shouldn't be bullied because the guy like helped Rosa Parks and all this kind of stuff. And I go,
Yeah.
someone's ethics I do not take into account when I'm talking about the taste of the food. So
Sure.
Right.
great that they're doing the food stamp thing.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any of that into account.
No, that is
I
always
mean,
funny. The Little
yeah.
Caesars thing is where like the owner or the CEO of Little Caesars quietly paid Rosa Parks' rent until the day she died and never made
Yeah.
a big deal out of it. And I'm like, that is amazing. Your pizza still tastes like cardboard.
Yeah, I was more dickish
Yeah.
when that was brought up to me because they're like,
Yeah.
he helped Rosa Parks. I'm like, she should have helped him make a better pizza.
They should
Should have hired her or something. Yeah. So,
And
yeah.
Gandhi, oh, terrible cook. Hope you like rice gruel.
Mm.
Anyway, that's all the super chats. Let's start wrapping things up before any more come in, because I gotta go get my lunch and shit. Thanks for listening to the Windbreaker podcast. I was Yahtzee. Oh, fuck off, Raziel. Raziel gives
do not fuck off there. That is a wonderful donation.
Gives 500 PLNs and says, "Here's a token from me, so you keep bringing us the meat. You are all wonderful."
Oh my
Thank you,
God,
Raziel.
we're gonna mix the meat. You're gonna have so much meat, you're gonna choke on us. Wait, what?
Anyway, yes, Marty Slaver and Sebastian Drews were here too,
We were.
and we've got we haven't quite finished our content for the current year. We're off work as of the end of this week.
Mhm.
Off from the 23rd onwards. Until then, we've got shit coming out pretty much every day. I've got my fully ramblomatic review of Avatar coming out on Wednesday. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. And I will be streaming something that day for Yahtzee Tries. Haven't decided what.
We'll do
Nick suggested
two-player House Flipper.
Nick suggested House Flipper, but I've been playing that solidly since it came out, so no fresh perspectives on that, I'm afraid.
What about Cookie Clicker? What's the name of that game?
Cookie Cutter.
Cookie Clicker.
New Cookie Cutter and Cookie Clicker.
Oh, Cookie Cutter, yeah.
Oh my God!
I started it, but I didn't really. I started, but I didn't really connect. So yeah, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah.
Cookie Clicker. Oh,
Cookie Cutter. Yes.
there it is.
So you need two games. The other one could be Cookie Clicker. Who knows?
Yes, and I've got a semi-ramblomatic coming out on Thursday as well, which will be on the subject of endings, fittingly, for the end of the year. And then I will be featured as one of the cast members in Adventurers Nigh, the latest episode of which will be out on Saturday, before we all go off on break. What do you guys got to show for yourself?
What do you got for us? Frost, you just had a video go up a few hours ago.
Just had a big old cold take come out. A bit of investigative journalism. Nick Calandra and myself covering the going-ons in the day before. It was good old stuff. And then, as you said, we're not going to be doing much, but you get to start the new year with another cold take talking about the permanence paradox, how our games should be able to last for eternity, or they could just be gone tomorrow. So,
yep. It's a bummer.
And that should be it for me, I believe.
Cool. And then, in about an hour, Darren's new backdrop will be going up on Rebel Moon, the latest film by Zachary Snyder, the Justice League himself. It has the lowest Rotten Tomato score of any movie in his career, which is saying something. So Darren's video on that will be going up later tonight. Like I mentioned, over on the live channel, Casey, Jesse, and Jess will be playing the aforementioned Cookie Cruncher. I'm never going to learn the name of that game. I'm never going to learn the name of that game. 6 p.m. Central. I toss a link in there over on the live channel. Go hang out with them and support them. And then, we'll have stuff throughout the week. We'll have a new Bite Size tomorrow, new Design Delve on Friday, streams tomorrow. Are you guys are doing the Stream 6 thing tomorrow?
Oh, that.
3
that's
p.m.
right.
Central. Yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah,
big announcement. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be figuring that out, the details, but that should be mostly on Twitch.
Yeah, it's gonna be a massive event for everybody to come on and get some free shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So 3 p.m. Central tomorrow. We'll have the full details, but that should be YouTube, Nick, and Jamate, I believe, playing games that hundreds of people in the community can play at the same time. So we'll be showing off that Stream 6 stuff, which is very cool. Tomorrow evening, we'll have the Firelink podcast on Tuesday instead of Wednesday, because on Wednesday, Nick is going to be on the Min-Max Trivia Show.
Oh yeah,
at the
that
normal
thing.
time. Yeah, and then Thursday we'll be closing out the year. Casey and I will be doing some more Devil May Cry 2, which spoilers is bad.
Okay.
Did you cry yet?
Yeah.
You know that title, Cookie Cutter. I have to concentrate when I say it because I have this. One of the quirks of my accent is that I'm stuck between the north of England and the south of England, so I sometimes mess up my ooze. Sometimes I say bucket when I'm trying to say bucket.
Jeez, man.
If I wasn't concentrating, I'd say cookie cutter, which
Okay.
doesn't sound right at all.
Actual Burmy, you're not from the
sounds
Black
great.
Country, are you?
Yeah,
Or I'd say cucky cutter, and that's a different thing altogether.
it's a game I'd play. See what's going on over there.
Cookie cutter. It's having the two in the same title.
Yeah,
Messes me up.
Lovely. All right.
Anyway, that'll be it from us then. Toffee's staring at me, so yes, all right. All right, we'll go for a walk.
that toffee.
Yes, all right. Okay. See you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great holiday. Thank you all so much. You're great.